Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Leader in You podcast. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Polina. Remember, this podcast is brought to you by EMC Leaders, and I co host this podcast with amazing Dr. Lola Gershfeld.
Hi, Polina, and hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm excited for today's podcast.
Yes, we're so excited because we have a very, very special guest on our podcast today, the amazing and incredible Lisa Zimmer. Yay, Lisa,
Yay!
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I can't wait.
Yes, so I actually met Lisa through work 6 years ago. Can you believe it? Or it's been 7 years, like in 2019 is when we met at that leadership retreat in Arizona. I think it was Arizona, right? 7 years ago? It's
It was
insane.
Sundance.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And Lisa and I hit off. We ended up working in many different aspects, working together. And Lisa also started to learn the EFT process, which is where the EMC process stems from. So I really wanted
I don't know if people know EFT stands for. Do you want to say?
No, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. EFT stands for Emotionally Focused Therapy. And Lisa, so nice to have you, and welcome to our show. And my teacher, Sue Johnson, who was a developer of the EFT process, actually taught me everything I know. And when I learned about the attachment and how couples get stuck into these patterns, I said to myself, wow, wait a second. This is exactly what happens in the workplace. And that's why I took the EFT model and transformed it to fit team relationships and work relationships.
Yeah. And so actually the form, Lisa, that I was showing you today from this master class that Dr. Lola teaches and has available, that is all based off of the EFT model. But Dr. Lola's just transformed it to EMC leadership.
Emotional connection.
Yeah. And so brings like that aspect to the corporate world.
Yeah.
So the reason why we have Lisa here today, for those of you who are listening or watching, Lisa's been in leadership, like I would say, all of your life, right? Your career. And the process that she's learned based on emotional connection has really transformed the way that she does business and works with her customers, but also the people that she works with on her team, and also in so many different aspects of her life. So I'm actually really excited to have you here, Lisa, because I wanted to talk about how it has transformed your life. So first, tell us what you do, where you're from, and how you got into leadership.
You bet. So I'm originally from Illinois, from a small farm town, and sold real estate, did well with that. Years later, eventually ended up creating my own essential oil business and supplement business through a network marketing company, and recruiting people to order products and then recruiting them to sell as well. And really went through a lot of struggles with the leadership process. In fact, I always said if I was told that I would be in charge of other people, not just myself, I may not have signed up at the time, right? That's how troubled I was at leading. Like I could do things, but I had trouble communicating to other people and their learning styles, how to help them lead as well and do what I do. And so what's happened was I started learning the EFT for my personal reasons, right? Post-divorce, and learning how to handle my emotions, communicate better, all of those things. The light bulb went off and I started implementing this new language that I learned, right, through my amazing EFT therapist or counselor, whatever the proper term is, right? And applying it to my business, and it transformed my business because my inability to communicate well, right? I was always communicating what needed to be done, my needs, and I was doing it from my perspective only. And I wasn't taking the time to figure out what the other person needed, like their learning style, their communication style. So what it really did was help me pause. That's the number one thing that my therapist helps me with, is the first thing out of her mouth all the time is pause, right? Because I'm always in a hurry. I'm super high functioning, achieving, succeeding, and I don't slow down and pause and listen on both sides, right? I just share what needs to be shared on my side, but I don't take the time to expand the communication. And so now I pause, and instead of, if I'm even in business, say it's like a problem, right? Conflict comes up. I now feel well equipped for conflict resolution, because my conflict resolution is not to prove that I'm right. Which was huge
Yes.
for me. That's my conflict resolution, was to prove that I was right. And that is not how you do it. Like, that is the number one takeaway from all of it, was understand why I feel the need to be that way, and the difference. Like, there is no right or wrong on either side. It's coming together for a successful, end result that both people are happy and comfortable with, and both people feel important and validated. And I never like have reactive moments anymore. I used to have such like highs and lows in my business. I was always reacting to a problem instead of just addressing it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. And actually, I'm so glad that
Articulate.
yeah, I'm so glad that you said all those things, because we talk a lot about this in the podcast, and we just actually did an interview with a lady who works she's a lawyer and she's got a law firm. And, she said that is the same thing that she notices, that a lot of the people in her law firm can get, if there is a disconnection, they can get easily frustrated, and they can get easily like responsive to what's happening. And then she was saying how like it's important to, look at how we can create like a respectful environment. And on the emotional side of things, which is what you said so clearly, we're actually looking to be heard and validated and understood. So when we have that opportunity to create an environment where you're feeling heard, validated, and understood, then you get that respect, you get that response where you're like calm and able to take care of things and not feel like you're in this state of urgency. Like, no, it's imminent that I prove something to someone because I have this great fear. And that's really the fear talking, right? The fear of failing, the fear of being ashamed for what we're doing, what we're saying, who we're being. So everything that you're saying is so good. I have some more questions. Mom, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes. Well, Lisa, as you were sharing your experience, I remember myself being so anxious at work. I mean, as a CFO, I remember working with this team, and I didn't understand what was all that anxiety. I could relate to what you were saying. I always wanted to prove myself wrong. I mean, right, or I want to defend myself, or I could not sit still, and quiet and just hold people's space. And learning how to pause, actually, that's hard. That is very, very hard, especially
It's a practice.
getting triggered. Like if you're getting triggered, it's very hard to pause. But I think through the process of emotionally focused approach, like understanding what's happening with my emotions and understanding what's going on with other people's emotions, you start to tune. It's like I remember Sue Johnson saying, in tango, like she was learning Argentine tango, and I take Argentine tangos, like we both love Argentine tango. But in Argentine tango, what is different from a traditional tango, it is improvised, right? The tango is improvised Argentine, because it is not a sequence of steps that you do like a routine, like in a traditional tango. And just like in the relationship, right? Relationship is very much improvised. You don't know what the other person is going to say, how they're going to respond. And you have to learn how to tune into each other in order to hold that space, like in order to slow it down, take a breath, just tune into what are they saying behind the words. And that is very hard to do. So that's what tango is about. It's like when you see the professional dancers, you can see like they're dancing as one because they are tuning into each other's music. And so I like what you're saying, like pause. But pause, but then what? Right? People will say, what do I do then?
Pause. And I know for me, like one of the pauses has to be, I work with a number of different leaders in my team, customers in my team. Everybody's different. They think about the situation differently. One person wants to be told exactly what to do and how to do it and takes no offense. And then the other person, if you say it that same way, they like panic and withdraw. And they're like, I can't do that. She's expecting too much. What is happening? You have to pause and realize you're with a different partner, a different dance partner today. When I'm talking to this person, what is their level of comfort? What is their communication style? What words did they need to hear to get us to that end result? So it's like tango dancing with 32,000 different customers. That's a lot of tango dancing, but that's what you have to do for a successful, leadership role or customer relationship or coworker relationship, right? I love that analogy.
So the very first tool in the EMC process is called the slow motion camera. And that is exactly what the slow motion camera does. It's like a pause, but you are then slowly moving through the experience, the conversation, the triggers that you may be experiencing when there's a problem that occurs, in order to understand what are your ways of responding. Because when we become aware of those ways, that's when we can make the shift and become easier to deal. Just like you said, oh, I can now switch to this person and tango with this person. Oh, perfect. Okay, like I just understood what happened to me. Now I can tango with this person. So we don't actually have the ability to switch that way if we are constantly in the hyper state of fear and feeling triggered when our amygdala. So that is actually the very first tool. It's called the slow motion camera. And we get to pause and then slow down the entire experience for each person. So it sounds like you found a way to help yourself regulate what happens to you when a problem occurs. And I had this conversation with you this morning. You mentioned something that I thought was so valuable for our audience to hear. And that is that you told me that when you got all these texts of all these issues that are happening, in your company. And then you would get so angry. Tell us more about that. And how did you see the effect? Because I think that's so common, right? Like it's so common, the anger, the frustration that shows up in teams and organizations and team development, that sort of thing. Let's hear that.
So yeah, my first reaction is anger, because I don't understand why this is happening and why I have to deal with it, whatever it is, right? So anger and reactionary and etc. And then with the tool set that I have now, right, I still initially respond that way, right? That's my first still triggered knee-jerk reaction. And then I pause. And then I remember that when I use my new skill set, right, I'm not going to have the same result. In the past, I would continue to trigger everyone around me. I would also, so I've always worked from home. And so then I would bring that frustration and anger into my home and put it on my family around me. Like, don't be around me right now. This is bad. Or someone would show up in front of me, like my ex-husband or whatever, and be like, rah, right? And so now it's like, that when you put your skill set to work, that you're going to have a positive end result. And I self-talk now, like, this is fine. This is not a big deal. This is just the postal system, right? And you can't fix that. It's not your responsibility to fix it. We just pause and figure out the solution path. And I get a result where everyone's happy without triggering everyone else around me along the way.
Yeah. So did you find that, what was like is there maybe a turning point, or did you find like one specific thing that you learned that was like, oh shoot, like when I become angry in this way, it's not effective and it's causing all these people to suffer along with me. And now I'm like, okay, how do I shift that? First I become aware of it, then how do I shift it? And then now you remember to pause. So what was there, like a turning point or an experience that happened or something that you can share? You're like, oh my gosh, that's not who I want to be, or something, someone told you something.
Yes, I ended up having to terminate a personal assistant, and I am a recovering people pleaser, and and bad boundaries, don't speak up for myself. And it was about not quite 2 years ago, and I put my skill set. I was new to learning the tools and the language, and I put that to work very calmly, not reactionary. And 45 minutes later, we parted as friends. Whereas historically, my solution that I've always used was to cut and run and
Mm-hmm.
all my relationships that aren't going the way that I want.
And Lisa, I love that story because it's so common. When people don't know how to recognize and repair relationships and they have to let people go, they actually create more injuries for themselves because it's unresolved. The
So
issue is unresolved, right?
Mhm.
And so people become actually more angry and more frustrated, even though that person is no longer in the company.
Mhm.
And they don't understand why. And even the person who was either let go or terminated, they go to another company and they carry that edge with them.
Mhm.
And so I tell people all the time, like managers and companies, like if you have to let people go, first repair the relationship and then let them go. Because when you repair the relationship, first it becomes much easier to recognize and understand that maybe this particular role doesn't fit their talent, and they could actually go to another place, and they accept it because they feel like you care, they matter to you, you're important to them. Otherwise they feel so hurt and broken inside.
You're
So
making me feel like such a good student right now.
yeah, how was it, like what was the feeling that you had before you learned the process, and then what was happening after when you had this termination with with love and connection happen?
So while you were speaking, it reminded me that I didn't just go in and terminate her. Like my first questions were, I can tell that you are so unhappy.
Mhm.
I said, I want to hear from you. Why are you working for me? This is not your skill set. It's clear you're miserable. Help me understand. And that's not what we do when we go in with the intent to fire someone, right? And so before I would have just reacted, fired, cut, run, never spoke to him again, and lost all relationship. And had become friends over the couple years that she worked for me. And but yeah, so the training or therapy that I took for personal reasons, right, migrated over to the business, and it taught me to ask about her, because there's a reason that things weren't going the way they should for the role she was in. She hated it, right? It was just a temporary job to get her through until she could do what she really wanted to do, and she was struggling with not getting the jobs for acting, etc. And so she was in a bad place, and it came out in her work with me. And so that's how we were able to both vent our frustrations, right? But really what it was sharing our feelings.
Yeah, it sounds like you were invited her, right? Like you reaching out to her. Because I think and today in my webinar, I was teaching that we have to learn how to reach, because that's the optimal strategy. When we lose that connection, when we lose that sense that somebody is unhappy with something, whether it is with us or with the work, we have to reach. And that reaching sometimes comes across as pushing. Like if people don't know how to reach, like you said, I went out and said, like, something is going on with you, what's happening, right? You're reaching out to say, like, I care about you, I care about your experience, you're very important to me, but I see that you're struggling and that breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right now the person is responding completely different than you are writing them up, they're not doing it, and here's the second notice, and here's the third, and here's the door. I mean, it just creates a lot of distress for the people around, who see this going on. So I think reaching was very good of you to do that, instead of pushing, right?
hard.
Pushing is like criticizing, but reaching is great.
I'm very good at like giving my son advice. He's 21 now, and I've always given him the advice of when someone reacts with you or attacks you, 100% of the time, it has very little to do with you or nothing at all. Like something else is going in their life to cause that situation, right? But then I never took that and applied that for myself until I got the EFT training, right? And so in hindsight's 2020, right? That's exactly what was happening, right? She was unhappy with herself and her situation. It had nothing to do with the job that I had for her or our work relationship. But what she was dealing with privately, migrated into the business place. But it had 100% nothing to do with me.
It's so interesting. What you described in the emotional language is, a lot about empathy, right? It's like when we learn how we respond and how we get triggered and how we react, and then are able to pause and use the tools to help us calm down and to self-talk and self-regulate, self-soothe, and then we can de-escalate the situation around us. We have a tremendous increase in empathy and understanding for the other people that are suffering. Because the more awareness we bring and shed light to the ways and the reasons why we are suffering ourselves, that's what gives us the capacity to have the empathy for others. So I feel like when you told me the story, and it's actually, I was going to say you can go into the details because it was a pretty incredible story, but maybe you don't want to. I was like shocked because I was like, oh my God, how can someone like that betray you? Like you worked for her for so long. But you're right. There is a sense of like, you have empathy for the person because you're like, wow, like what happened? We thought we were so close, like to really, but also in the way in which it happened, there was also like misalignment in the value system. That's something that we've talked about, and I kind of want to bring up in your experience. So if you do find yourself working with people in all different ways because they communicate different or they respond different, or they could have a big deal about one thing and one person doesn't think that same thing is a big deal, do you find that when you have a conflict in value system, like let's say someone wants to like cheat their way to the top, or someone wants to lie or manipulate or some way, or someone wants to and I don't say these things as saying that people are manipulating and lying. I understand manipulation and lying are also just judgments, right, of people that are struggling and disconnected and don't know how to communicate their needs. So these are the ways they do ineffectively. How does that impact you? Like, do you feel like the misalignment is difficult to then work with those people, or do you feel like you can handle that, or what? Tell me about that.
It's extremely difficult for me. So there was a big age difference. So we were 30 years difference in age. And so I have a real disconnection from that age group just because of the way I was brought up and the work ethic that we were given. And, you show up no matter what, you don't show up 45 minutes late. Like this is the place I live currently in Florida. Like everyone's always late. Like time is not an issue, whether it's work or whatever. And I'm like, what? I don't understand any of this. So there was a huge disconnect for me. And I go straight to, I'm being disrespected. Like I'm 0 to 100. And so it was very difficult for me, being new to that area, to accept and roll with things. And in that area, it is difficult to get people to come to work at all, or they take advantage of every opportunity to not work. Or I'm not saying that was her specifically, but between a combination of the age and the mindset post pandemic, it was extremely difficult. I go straight to disrespect and have to not be reactionary. Like it's learning this skill set and how to address all of the different topics, whether it's, not being on your phone the whole time while you're working. Like I understand that. Or, you know what I mean? Or not shopping while you're working or whatever, regardless. This is like instances of a number of different assistants over the years. And yeah, so it's very difficult. I have to constantly self-talk, and I hear my therapist in my ear often, like every day. Pause, slow down. Like,
It's gonna be okay,
that's
validating yourself, right?
like some key phrases from her. She's literally like the little guy on my shoulder, playing devil's advocate to help me see both sides. That's
Yeah.
something she was fantastic at through my EFT training. And she does help me pause to see the other side, because
Yeah.
I am obsessed with my side.
Yes.
And so it's, yeah. And then having a 21-year-old son, he helps me to see that other side sometimes. But I raised him, so he's not me, right? So I get a little bit of access to that world, but then I meet other younger people. I'm like, interesting mindset, right? Interesting mindset.
Yeah.
So,
Well, actually, in fact, in the EMC process, it's very much about removing the fault of each
Mhm.
person involved in the conflict, right? So that's actually how we start with conflicts. And I know EFT, obviously, because this stemmed from that, it comes in that same way. It's like it's nobody's fault, but it's so common what you describe. It is so, so common. Everybody does it. We
Mhm.
want to put the blame on something or someone so that we don't look like the bad guy. Like, that we
Feels
don't,
better.
it feels better. Yes.
Your body, right? Doesn't it? It's so wrong, but it just feels better. It's not right. It's not the right
Well,
answer.
that is so true, and I have to kind of like echo what Polina, what you're saying is that it is it helps for us to not to put a blame on the other person, but it is hard, right, Lisa, like you said, because it makes me feel better. Like if I'm struggling with like feeling disconnected and alone, I don't want to be the one, right? I want you to be the one. Like you're the problem. You are causing me to feel that way. Like I don't have any part. Like I remember going to this, working with this particular team, and this the executive, she was very anxious, and like she's like, my engineer is not talking to me, and like, could you please fix him? He is the one who is the problem, right? I'm not just gonna sit and watch how you're gonna fix him. Right? And I think with the EMC process, what we always encourage is to do the process as if it's like a regular and any other worksheet, like any other work instruction, right? Every business has operating work instructions, how we enter order, how we process order, how we create a product. Well, this is the EMC process, like the reconnection form, is that how we repair relationships. If you have any situation, because if you are by yourself, like Lisa, if you're doing it by yourself, your, for example, direct report or your assistant will not know what you're getting triggered with. If you never talk, if you never have this ability to have a process where you can share what triggers you, how it touches your raw spot, and how what emotions you have, and what do you do, and what do you need, that person will never experience what actually happening for you. Like you might go to your son, you might go to your trainer and process you, but what about the person, right, who you're working with? So there's never opportunity to actually create that repair or strengthen the bond or understand each other better. So I feel like the reconnection process helps each person to recognize there's no bad guy, but we still impact each other.
Mhm.
Like you impact me when you come late, that you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not telling you you're credit, but that's how it impacts me. I start to feel like I don't matter. I'm not important. What we're doing, not important. And I start to feel alone. And I need to know that I'm not alone. You're with me. I am important to you. And in that process of this bonding conversations that we have, people are moved so like emotionally, that the next time they get up and they say like, oh, I don't want Lisa to feel that way. I want to be connected. Like I want to the motivation to be on time is a lot greater now. Not because you told me to be on time, but because you care about me, because you care about the relationship with me.
And they understand.
Yes, and they like understand on an emotional, visceral level. That's different.
Mhm. I keep hearing my therapist on my shoulder. I would just totally want to share a couple. So like that really stick with me. And I repeat these when I am in a conflict situation. I repeat them to myself in my head, sometimes out loud. And like, even though we can disagree, regardless of the scenario, two different people, both can be true. So like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling this way. It feels like you're attacking me. It feels like you're disrespecting me. Both can be true because both of our perceptions are our realities. But because I was always most worried about me, right? I wasn't thinking about their side. And so that those couple phrases help me remember that there's someone else in this equation, not just me.
Yeah.
We actually did a podcast called Holding Two Truths. Was that a podcast we did or a webinar?
No, it's a podcast. Yeah.
And we talked about that exact thing. Like if you can hold two truths in the conflict in every single situation, that both sides are valid and true, doesn't mean you agree with the other person and their perception. It just means like, okay, it's valid. It's their truth. And that's valid for them to experience that, whether it's true to you or not. And I think that's very revolutionary, like in just the perspective. And I say, like, yeah, it's difficult to just tell someone to shift perspectives. But when you see it in that way, when you see, like, oh, okay, it's valid for me to feel this way, and it's valid for someone else to feel that way because we have this different realities, and that's true for them, then you have that opening of empathy and understanding for the other individual, right? And then it's no longer, oh, he's bad, I'm bad, he's wrong, I'm wrong, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy. It's not that anymore. It's not you're winning or I'm losing or I'm winning or you're losing. It's just like, oh, we just get to be in this like neutral place of accepting, and I think even for people who go into leadership or in any workplace environment, because they bring a lot of those patterns that they've learned in their childhood, right? All of these patterns and triggers and raw spots and all this stuff that comes up in conflicts all start in our relationships back when we're really young. So it's like we're bound to deal with everybody's different sensitivities. We're bound to deal with it. So when we have this perspective that we can hold both truths, we can hold two truths in these both sides, then it's no longer about like, oh, darn, like that's such a bad person for doing what they did. And that's kind of back to what you were saying with your example with your assistant and how you had to let her go. It's like, you really can hold her truth and her challenges and difficulty, but also decide like, well, yeah, I'm not going to have you work for me anymore.
I would like to share the success story part of it. Can I share that quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
So success is on both sides, right? So it was me speaking up instead of burying, cutting, and running. So huge growth for me. I've been able to speak up for myself. Like 3,000% more. I used to just take everything, bury it, deal with it, suffer. And then the success for her was her career is taken off because she was able to put the time that she had into that. And she's written and produced and acted in her own short film.
That's amazing.
Right. And neither of the things.
And the relationship is saved, Lisa, and the relationship is saved.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest win.
Everyone won.
Yes.
Versus everyone losing.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what would have happened in a number of ways. The growth, the self-growth on both parts was mind-blowing.
That's wonderful.
Well, we're actually coming to a close on this podcast, but I do have one more question for you before we end, Lisa. And Mom, if you have a question too, of course, I will give you the opportunity to ask also. So my question is for someone who's listening to our podcast right now or watching our YouTube video. and that they're struggling, who feels like emotionally exhausted, who feels like they want to give up, who feels like they can't continue, who feels like, but they still feel like they have this calling to lead in their life and lead in their work, what would you tell them?
Is this for me? I was like so nervous. I was like, what's she gonna say? Polina does not prep me, by the way. That's what makes it so authentic and beautiful. And I love the forced growth with these questions. So my first question would be, in fact, I think we talked about this today in a different scenario. Surround yourself with people that are positive and helpful, that are succeeding in those areas. Right. So when I'm around, like coming here and being around you and your family and positive, healthy, happy people, it changes me. So regardless of whether it's for work or other. So I did that recently. Wasn't feeling like super confident in where I was in my career path. And so I took a break and went on a paid vacation with a bunch of other people in the company and spent a week with them and surrounded myself with like-minded people and learned from them and found the positive in all of it and came back ready to tackle it again. And be like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. There've been a number of instances, right? With severe ADHD, I lose focus so quickly. I'm like, I'll just start a new business and start another career. Cut and run, right? And so I've learned to not cut and run, because that's exactly what we're doing again when we're not getting what we want. And I need to communicate with myself and find, what am I really looking for? Well, what I'm really looking for at the time when that was happening was creating a healthy community. I wasn't looking to make more money. I wasn't looking to find a way to motivate my leaders to lead better. I was looking for human connection and like-minded people that want to serve and change the world, which is the source of our business, right? We serve and help people feel better mentally, physically, and financially. And I surrounded myself with those people and got my cup filled back up. So I was able to go back to put my little cape on and go back to work, and felt like I could save the world again. I needed to get filled up. I needed my cup full. I needed people around me to say, hey, you got this. It's all good. You feel valid, but some of what you're saying out loud are stories you're making up in your head. Not true. You already are successful, right? You're just doing it right now. So surround yourself with the people that you need to surround yourself with to lift you up. Because when your mind is clear and positive and healthy, you make completely different decisions.
It's so interesting. I think that there's something that you do that I don't think you realize you do, that I think also is important to point out, because, and this is, I want to share this because I noticed this about you. And a lot of times, like, I'm not fully aware of the things that I do. And I remember one time I was with my kids, and a friend of mine, when I was living in Maui, she was filming me with my kids. And I didn't even notice I do this. It's just something that I do. So, like, automatic, natural. And she said, you are so present with your children. Like, that is something that a lot of parents miss. Like, every single moment you spend with your kids, you're very present with them. And so I was so, like, shocked by that and so taken back, because I didn't realize that that's how I was. So that's why I want to share with you what I see that you do, that and I think is so incredible. So before you learn this process, you were saying how, like, you just push your feelings down and you cut people off and run. But now what I see is that you allow yourself to experience the difficult feelings that you have. You allow yourself to create space for the experience that impacts you negatively or has impacted you negatively, and to be able to feel that. And I think that is something that people really need to do in order to continue. If they're feeling emotionally drained, if they're feeling like they can't, like, step back into what they're doing, if they're feeling like exhausted and unable to kind of move forward and feel stuck, aside from doing the EMC masterclass and the worksheet, because I love this process so much, they need to create space. And that's exactly how we do it. We create that space, and you go and talk to your therapist and work through that in that same exact process that we do in the EMC training. And we do it here also. But that's what I see with you, is that you create that space and time to put those feelings, give them space, give them a voice, give them the opportunity to be heard. And that, I think, is very, very valuable in you moving forward in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Lisa. I think this takes a lot of courage.
You have to do
Determination. And Polina is right, because if John Bowlby, who was the father of attachment theory, actually talked about that people will shut down and not understand if they have fearful, unacceptable, alien emotions. And if they have a chance to understand and slow down, to tune and articulate, organize, clarify. I think Lisa Feldman Barrett, she talked about emotions being granular. That you really have to be specific when you recognize what's happening with you. And even if you are able to articulate your emotions and organize, you grow in that moment, because then you become open, then you become in balance more. But if you are not able to do that, you will shut down and run, because you never have a chance to actually look inside yourself and say, what is happening with me? And how can I share it in a way that is safe and professional? So good for you. I'm very proud of you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm
Well,
very grateful for all of you.
Well, we're so happy that you're able to join us today. Thank you very much for being here and coming onto our podcast. Thank you, Dr. Lola. And for those of you listening, this is The Leader in You, brought to you by EMC Leaders. And we hope you have a fantastic week. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.